Good morning and welcome to Going to Work with Gena, which is an infomercial for STEM students. I am Dr. Gena Henderson. STEM students, I promised you that I was going to actually bring about an environmental scientist. And here today I have with me the future, as of December 13th, 2019, Dr. Christiana Oyenuga. Okay? And so she's going to explain environmental science to us and how it affects the ecosystems, especially when it comes to hurricanes and storms and stuff like that. Hello.
Hi, Dr. Gena.
How
Thank you
are
for having me.
Oh,
I'm good.
All right. So, can you explain environmental science in a very elementary way so that students of all ages can grasp it?
Sure. Environmental science pretty much is a science that focuses on biology, physical sciences. You need biology, chemistry, physics, mathematics, and also integrates the social part of it where you understand people, how people engage. Also integrates the decision sciences, which focuses on how humans make decisions, and also looks at communities. So environmental science pretty much integrates the physical science, the biological science, the decision sciences, and also the social sciences portion of that.
Okay. So, kind of like sort of a part of the public health?
It does look at public health too in a certain way, because when you're looking at the social aspect of it, there's a health component to it, to environmental science. And that portion will be well known as environmental health. So there's a portion to that. Yeah.
Okay, so with all of the recent hurricanes, and I had this great idea last week, and I really want to introduce you to Dr. Marshall Shepard, who's a meteorologist. And I want him to be such a phenomenal environmental scientist such as yourself. And I want you two to work together to do some sort of innovation that's going to change the world. Because all I could think about was the aftermath. And I know that in the sense of urgency that we all have to take care of the Bahamas right now, everybody wants to send everything. And all I can think about is the ecosystem, the land itself, the damage, the dead animals, and I just keep thinking how are we going to live off the land? And I just have so many things in my mind, and I'm thinking how can something innovative be done where meteorology and environmental scientists actually have a combination or come together and do some phenomenal work?
Absolutely. Might I add that Dr. Marshall Shepard, he's a meteorologist.
Yes.
Not an environmental scientist.
Right.
He is a well-known meteorologist, a leader in his field.
Right.
And the work he does, I'm pretty sure I read a lot of his work, and I think he's done a lot of work in collaboration with environmental scientists. So that would be really great to have some sort of potential collaboration in the near future. And there's so much that can be done when you look at different ecosystems, because the meteorologists really talk about the weather, and how the weather's changing, and also talk about the climate, how the climate is changing. And then from that aspect, from the work that meteorologists do, environmental scientists use all of that work in order to figure out, okay, the weather's changing, the climate is changing, no long term, how's that affecting people? How's that affecting animals? How's that affecting our ecosystems? And like you mentioned, with hurricanes and the different disasters that are happening, how do we recover? But I would say before we even talk about recovery, we need to be proactive and talk about how do we prepare for this. How do we prepare for this? Because it's inevitable. The climate is changing. Climate change is real. But how do we plan for climate change? How do we plan for the impacts, the negative impacts of climate change? How do communities plan? How does our ecosystem, how do we plan for ecosystems to be sustained after those damages that happen in the hurricane? Yes. So it's important for that collaboration to happen with meteorologists and with environmental scientists, and also with environmental social scientists, where we understand, before disaster happens, what do we do? When the disaster happens, what do we do? How do we do it? And when do we do it? And you were mentioning that when we talk about the length with the recovery and the death and all that, how fast do we recover? It's a challenge.
It's a challenge.
Yeah.
So it's more or less that you can't move a whole country to some other place. So they more or less have to learn how to adapt and live on the land that God gave them, right? And so that's what I've been thinking about. But I've been thinking about the fact that somehow something innovative needs to occur to teach us as a community how to prepare. Like, okay, we know how to go get batteries and all of that kind of stuff to prepare for the storm. But how do we prepare for the aftermath, for the fact that the land itself may not even be there? I mean, Florida is a peninsula itself. There is something, we could have something so catastrophic to happen here and we be totally underwater. You know, you never know. So it's kind of like getting our next generation prepared for the climate change that's going to basically change our ecosystems, and it could change drastically. So that's what I was thinking about. So students, I wanted to first of all put my hands on a real live environmental scientist and let you all know that we do exist.
Yes.
We're here. We are participating, and we are contributing to the field. And there are certain fields that need to combine to take us into the next generation, into our future. And all of you are a part of our future. So if you haven't thought about environmental science, if you haven't thought about meteorology, if you haven't, well, I'm sure everybody always think about engineering, but if you haven't thought about those biological sciences, I want you to get more in tune to how those sciences are actually going to be needed for the future. So I want to thank you, Dr. Christiana. Anna, right? Christiana. Okay, so I want to thank you for going to work with Gena this morning.
Thank you, Dr.
And
Gena.
if there's any other infomercials that you need that you haven't seen, please don't hesitate to go to YouTube, Going to Work with Gena. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Gena, for having me.